welcome back to another Sunday on Monday. As you guys know, Sunday on Monday is Crown Church's at Crown ORL's platform where we unpack Sunday's messages on Monday, but in a more condensed format. Now, let me go ahead and say this. If you're not following us, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and make sure you tapped into and plugged into the channel, and you're following us on all of our social media platforms. But Sunday on Monday is meant to be a supplement, never a substitute for the real thing. So we encourage you and invite you to, whenever you have the ability to join us in person, or wherever you may be. If you have an opportunity to go to be in the building physically, we know that you're the church, but to physically be in the building, have community, I always encourage to do that. But what I want to talk to you today specifically about is go be great. It's a subject. Simple statement. Go be great. Now, when we think about the faith, a lot of times we have this lowly of mindset to the degree where it's almost where we feel bad for being great. We feel bad for doing great things, or almost as if it's a bad thing to aspire to do big things. It comes off as prideful or arrogant, but I want to show you in the text in Matthew chapter 20, the disciples were contending and having an argument about, one sitting on the right and one sitting on the left, and clearly position influence was a big thing for them. Influence, notoriety, status, if I could say it that way, was a big thing for them. So what Jesus does is he doesn't rebuke them for desiring greatness. He doesn't rebuke them, but what he does do is he redirects them in the path to achieve greatness. The key to greatness is through the path of humility. The key to greatness is found in humility. And this is one of the reasons why in Matthew 20, verse 26, it says, "Yet it shall not be so among you, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant." And of course, verse 27 says, "And who desires to be first among you, let him be your slave." So he's showing them the key to greatness. The key to up is down. The key to being great is walking and being clothed in humility, according to 1 Peter chapter 5:5. Now, here's a caution. A lot of times we want the title, but we try to avoid the task. We want the benefits, but we don't want to shoulder the burdens, right? We want to be able to have the influence, but not the accountability. And it doesn't work like that. There is a process to growth. There is a process to promotion. There is a process to greatness. And it's real simple. It's really this formula, this principle, these principles apply both in the marketplace and also in the ministry, which means because they have dual applications, you don't have to code switch. Just walk in them and they will work in the marketplace and they will work in ministry. If you want to be great, if you want to grow, you have to be these three things all at the same time. You have to be teachable, you have to be coachable, and you have to be trainable. You have to be teachable, you got to be coachable, and you have to be trainable all at the same time. See, when we are teachable is a willingness and ability to receive knowledge, instruction, and truth. A teachable person doesn't know everything, but they are willing, keyword, willing to learn. So at best, what they are is they're curious, they listen well, they ask questions. So a teachable person can receive truth. Now, the reason all three are important is because teaching without coaching produces pride. So don't just take in information and not do something with it. Coaching without training produces frustration, and then training without teaching produces stagnation. So a lot of people are frustrated and stagnate, but because you've been just gathering information, you're not doing anything with it. So the first progression is we have to take in information. But after we take in information, how do we know we're doing it right? You have to be coachable. Being coachable is a willingness and ability to receive feedback and adjust behavior accordingly. A coachable person welcomes being shown a better way of what they are doing and will make adjustments. They usually receive constructive criticism without being defensive. They pursue improvement. They value accountability. So a teachable, a coachable person responds to correction. Here's my question to you. When you are corrected, how do you respond? Do you make the adjustments or do you make excuses? If you make the adjustments, that adjustment to the coaching and correction will lead to maturity and growth. If you make excuses, you'll never grow. You'll never mature. Adopting a victim's mentality will never move you to where you're supposed to be. And so in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5, Peter's telling them to submit. Why? Because, very important, God protects and corrects through authority structures. When God, listen, there's a reason why Joshua's learning under Moses. There's a reason Elisha's learning under Elijah. There's a reason that Timothy's under Paul, because God protects and he also corrects through accountability structures. So what God does is he utilizes these structures. Actually, it has nothing to do with the leader, but our ability to trust God's order. That's the biggest thing. When we trust God's order, then we allow him to correct us, coach us, form us through accountability structures. So you got to be coachable. And then, of course, lastly, you have to be trainable. Trainable is a willingness and ability to repeatedly practice and develop skills until they become habits. Yeah, that's where it gets tough, because a trainable person is willing to do the work required to develop consistency, discipline, being receptive to the process, being willing to practice and patient with the growth. Training is the preparation for the promotion. And so when it comes to training, we have to stick with it. We cannot quit, and we have to be consistent with it. And so the reason is in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6, it tells us to humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God, that in due time he'll raise us up. He'll elevate us. Promotion comes from the Lord, which means we have to be patient enough that while we're waiting, we're still training. While we're waiting, we're still training. Training prepares us for the calling. It prepares us. So we got to be teachable, we got to be coachable, and we have to be trainable. Now, let me caution you before we wrap up. Let me caution you. This can cause us to stall out. We can stall out when we're teachable, but not coachable. And what happens is we love learning, but we resist correction. Or we're coachable, but not trainable. We accept feedback, but we lack the discipline to implement it. Or we're trainable, but not teachable. We can perform the task, but we struggle to understand deeper truths. All three are necessary. All three are required to be teachable, coachable, trainable. A teachable person learns. A coachable person trains and changes. A trainable person develops. If you want to be great, walk in humility. And one of the signs or attributes of walking in humility is that you're teachable, you're coachable, and you're trainable. Until the next one, be blessed.